right, guys, we want to finish the book of Revelations. I kind of got off on a tangent. Well, in Revelations 12, we want to go here. We went all the way to 14, but I didn't give you an explanation. Revelations 12 talks about the woman and the dragon. It says, I witnessed in heaven an event of great significance. I saw a woman who was clothed with the sun, the moon beneath her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant, and she cried out because of her labor pains and the agony of giving birth. So, in Revelations 12, it speaks about a woman. This woman signifies the nation of Israel. The woman is clothed with the sun and the moon. God protects the nation of Israel. Israel is first love. He protects Israel. So what happens is Israel is the birth of the 12 tribes of Judah. All of the Bible speaks about the tribes and about Israel. So Israel is about to give birth to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, which is Jesus Christ. So when you get down here, it said, then I witnessed in heaven another significant event. This is the war. The other significant event was a red dragon and 7 heads and 10 horns. Let me see what they mention. 10 horns. Okay, with 7 crowns on his heads. And his tail swept away 1/3 of the stars in the sky, and he threw them to earth. He stood in front of the woman as she was about to give birth, ready to devour her baby as soon as it was born. So the 12, the first part, it says, this is John. It says, then I witnessed in heaven another significant event. I saw a large red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns. Now this represents Satan, of course, a large red dragon. The dragon that has 7 heads and 10 horns, these are various nations of idolatrous things going on. You have 7 heads and 10 horns. The 10 horns represent something, and the 7 heads represents the heads represents the people, and the horns represents the nations themselves. So there are people involved with this war. And then it says, his tail swept away 1/3 of the stars in the sky. The stars are the angels. And he threw them to the earth. He stood in front of the woman as she was about to give birth, ready to devour her as soon as she was born. So there's going to be a war, just like the war in heaven, but there's going to be a war here on earth. It's going to have something to do with the nations of Israel, nations of Islam. It's going to have some significance with the heads of nations going to battle. But this war broke out in heaven years ago. But the same thing is going to be happening here. It says, she gave birth to a son who was to rule the nations with an iron rod, and her child was snatched away from the dragon and was caught up to God and to his throne. So this is Jesus Christ. He's coming back to give wrath in, things that should not be going on. There's going to be a judgment for all these things. So what happens is the dragon thinks, I'm going to snatch this baby away. The baby is sent up to heaven, and he sitteth on the throne of God, Jesus Christ. It says, then there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels, and the dragon lost the battle. So Michael fought against the dragon. Remember, they said that he took 1/3 of the angels with him when he was kicked out of heaven, right? So he swept away 1/3 of the stars. That's 1/3 of the angels he took with him. He fought the battle. He lost. But some of the people that were on his side went with him, went with Satan. And it says, this great dragon, the ancient serpent called the devil and Satan, the one deceiving the whole world, was thrown down to the earth with all his angels. So the devil is thrown down to the earth. This is back in that time with all his angels. He's been here with all his angels. Then I heard a loud voice shouting across the heavens. And it said, it has come to last. It is coming at last. Salvation and power and kingdom of our God, the authority of his Christ. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters has been thrown down to earth, the one who accuses them before our God day and night. So, you know, the devil is an accuser of the brethren. He's thrown down here to earth. So he's still here. He's on the earth accusing the brethren. He has a throne which is overseas near where the tree of life is, and he's there accusing the brethren. I read about it. I read about it in the Bible. That's crazy, right? And I looked up the history. And then it says, and they did not love their lives so much, and they were afraid to die. Let me go back up. It says, the one who accuses them because before our God day and night, and they have defeated him by the blood of the Lamb, and by their testimony, and they did not love their life so much. So you defeat him by the blood of the Lamb and the testimony of Jesus Christ. And it says, and they were afraid to die. Therefore rejoice, O heaven, and you who live in the heavens rejoice. But terror will come on the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down to you in great anger, knowing that he has little time. When the dragon realized that he had been thrown down to earth, he pursued the women who had given birth to the male child. But she was given 2 wings like those of a great eagle, so she could fly to the place prepared for her in the wilderness. So this is speaking about, I'm all the way in the back and haven't gotten there, but the Lord is going to prepare a place for the Israelites to go when the time gets bad. They will be able to go and have shelter and safety. So it's going to be some bad time, but they will be sheltered. And then it says, knowing that he has little time left, when the dragon realized that he had been thrown down to earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. But she was given 2 wings like those of a great eagle, so that she could fly into the place prepared for her in the wilderness. There she would be cared for and protected from the dragon for a time and a half time. You see that? The 2.5 years. The woman, which is the nation of Israel, will have to fly, and then when she goes out from where she is, she will be protected. There's going to be some things going on. And then it says, then the dragon tried to drown the woman with a flood of water that flowed from his mouth. But the earth helped her by opening its mouth and swallowing the river that gushed out from the mouth of the dragon. And the dragon was angry at the woman and declared war against the rest of the children, all who kept God's commandment and maintained their testimony for Jesus. Then the dragon took his stand on the shore beside the sea. So everybody that's claiming to be a child of God and that stands by what he says, love your neighbor and, under grace, there is going to be somebody that takes their place over in the land of Israel. It says the devil took his place by the sea. I don't know where I'm getting all this information from, but there's going to be some things happening. The Bible is very prophetic. But back here, it's almost if this thing is going to happen again, but in a different way. That's how it seems in the Bible, that this thing happened before. Now it's going to happen again, but it's going to happen in a different time and in a different way. It's going to be the same thing. It's so weird. It's almost like a deja vu. Okay, so chapter 13 is about the beast out of the sea. Then I saw a beast rising up out of the sea. It had 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns on the horns, and written on each head were names that blaspheme God. This beast looked like a leopard, but it had feet of a bear and a mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave the beast his own power and throne and great authority. So these are nations that will rise up as though an antichrist type nation that follows its own authority and does what it wants to do. And then it says, I saw that one of the heads of the beast seemed wounded beyond recovery, but the fatal wound was healed. The whole world marveled at this miracle and gave allegiance to the beast. They worshiped the dragon for giving the beast such power, and they also worshiped the beast. Who is as great as the beast? They exclaimed. Who is able to fight against him? Then the beast was allowed to speak great blasphemies against God, and he was given authority to do whatever he wanted for 42 months. And he spoke terrible words of blasphemy against God, slandering his name and his dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven. And the beast was allowed to wage war against God's holy people and to conquer them. And he was given authority to rule over every tribe and people and language and nation. And all the people who belong to this world worship the beast. And then it says, they are the ones whose names were not written in the book of life before the world was made. The book that belongs to the Lamb who was slaughtered. Anyone with ears to hear should listen and should understand. And anyone who is destined for prison will be taken to prison, and anyone who is destined to die by the sword will die by the sword. This means that God's holy people must endure persecution patiently and remain faithful. So what's going to happen is there's going to be a severe time, and this beast will be worshipped by everyone because it will come on the scene. Not a beast, but this antichrist type person will come on the scene and do some things that they say, oh, this is miraculous. You know, this will help this, or this will fix that, or whatever. But in the midst of all these things being fixed and helped, it's not the way that it really should be. It's going to be like a fake existence type thing, you know, where you see something that's real and something that's a fraud. It's going to be sort of like that. So that's why it's so important to stay close to your word and be able to know what's real and what's fake, because we're coming into that type of a system, a time and a system of things in different countries. So it's not just going to be overseas now. It's going to be a thing happening here in the real world where we are, but in those worlds you're going to see it over there first in different countries. So the best thing to do is keep your eyes out on what's happening with the currencies, because you see inflation is on the wide rise. Look at your currencies, look at your food markets, look at your stocks, look at what's going up really high and who's in control of it. And that's what you can kind of summon and tell what's going to happen with this antichrist spirit. I can tell you another thing you need to watch. Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been taking over a lot. Who is the biggest owner of this? You know, watch these different currencies, because I've heard that the Antichrist will bring in some kind of mark for getting your cash flow, but it's not going to be anytime soon. But keep your eyes on that. And it says, the beast out of the earth. Then I saw another beast come up out of the earth. He had 2 horns like those of a lamb, but he spoke with the voice of a dragon. Okay, this is the one that they said he comes in sheep, wolf clothing, but he's a sheep. It says he exercised all the authority of the first beast And he required all the earth and its people to worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. He did astounding miracles, even making fire flash down to the earth. So the antichrist will be doing miracles. They will be doing things too, that people will presume that this is God, but it's not. And then in all of the miracles he was allowed to perform on behalf of the first beast, he deceived all the people who belong to this world. He ordered the people to make a great statue of the first beast, who was fatally wounded and then came back to life. And he was then permitted to give life to this statue so that it could speak. What? Then the statue of the beast commanded that anyone refusing to worship it must die. He required everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on the right hand or the forehead. See what I'm saying? And no one could buy or sell anything without that mark, which was either the name of the beast or the number expressing his name. Wisdom is needed here. Let the one with understanding solve the meaning of the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man. His number is 666. All right, guys, there's very big significance right there in all of that reading that I just told you. So the next chapter I'm going to explain to you will be 14. So we know that there's going to be an antichrist type spirit. It's going to have to deal with something with our currency system. When you want people to do something, go into the currency, and that's what they're going to be trying to do. So the next one I'm going to explain to you is 14, Revelations. Once we explain 14, we'll reread 15 and 16 and just go straight on through. We're going to take a break right now. Have yourself some coffee. Bye-bye.